What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Triple H podcast, a very special episode of the podcast today. It is March. It is the Happy Hour Hoops March Madness show. We're going to do a little bit of NBA at the top, but it's going to be strictly March Madness after that. And as you guys know, Happy Hour Hoops is brought to you by WinStreakz. It's simple, guys. You pick teams to win games, accumulate points based off those teams, and then win cash prizes weekly. WinStreakz is 100% free to play. You can make up to 5 picks per day on the NBA, NFL when it comes back, NHL, obviously college basketball, which is hot and heavy right now. We're going to get into all that in a little bit. 100 players win cash prizes every week up to $2,000. Again, no deposits ever. The WinStreakz app is 100% free to play always. Use our code HHH when you sign up and start winning cash prizes while you pick your favorite teams to win. Again, that's our code HHH in that little referral code spot when you download the WinStreakz app, which I suggest you guys all go do. And something else exciting about WinStreakz, they are hosting a elimination March Madness survivor pool. The details of the survivor pool is no deposits, just like the app. It's 100% free to play. 2 entries for every person. So if you want, if you get knocked out in the first round, you can re-enter. 2 entries per person. You select one winning team for each round of the tournament. Each player gets 2 entries, like I mentioned. Avoid choosing the teams that lose, as doing so eliminates you from the pool. Continue making selections for each round until you are the last participant remaining or until the pool concludes. And the winner gets $1,000 cash. No brainer, guys.
Not a bad pool to join. And how much did you say, Dunny, to join? How much is it?
Free. Absolutely free.
Oh.
Just like downloading the WinStreakz app, guys. So go ahead and do that. If you need the link for the survivor pool, we tweeted it earlier today. I'm going to go pin it to the Happy Hour Hoops Twitter as we speak, or X, if you will. So if you want that link, it is on our Instagram story, and it also will be pinned to the top of our Twitter page. So go download the WinStreakz app, follow them on X as well, join the free-to-play March Madness Survivor Pool. Winner gets $1,000 cash. It's all a no-brainer, guys. Thank you to WinStreakz for supporting the pod, and go download the WinStreakz app. Guys, NBA March Madness. We've made it. It's like I said, we're gonna talk a little NBA at the top. We'll do news and notes, but this is the best time of year, and I can show you guys why just from my outfit here, because I have the Celtics Jaylen Brown jersey on because we got Celtics Bucks tonight.
Solid.
March the big tournament starts tomorrow. I got my UNC championship hat on. Maybe a little foreshadowing, maybe not. Who knows?
Oh.
But this is why this is the best time of year for basketball, best time of year in general for sports. Meaningful NBA games. Tournament starts tomorrow. I mean, I know you guys are ecstatic as I am, but just tell me about it, fellas. How are we feeling?
There's no better 2-day stretch in basketball than the Thursday, Friday. College basketball, March Madness, first rounds. The Thursday, Friday, and of course, love the second rounds too, Saturday, Sunday. But the Thursday, Friday, you got games from noon till midnight, and that game usually doesn't end until like 1 or 2 in the morning. So you got about 12, 14 hours consecutive basketball. You're always watching something. They do such a great job at the multiple channels that they have. You get to watch, get to flip between games. See crazy upsets, and I'll tell you what, guys, this year I think we're going to see something stupid, because I think the theme of the year has been inconsistency, where there's been a couple elite teams at the top, right? A couple elite teams at the top, but outside of 2 or 3 elite teams that have been pretty much consistent throughout the year, we've just seen chaos ensue. And I know not everyone is as locked in as we were with the conference tournaments. You guys know as well as I do how chaotic those conference tournaments were. So many 1 seeds lost early, so many Cinderella runs. And not only that, if you just take a look at the bracket, the play-in teams are the 10 seeds, guys. The play-ins are for 10 seeds. You go back a couple of years ago, we're looking at 11, even 12 seeds for play-ins. So the bubble shrunk like crazy, which means you had so many unexpected conference champions. The bubble got outside of Virginia. Pretty much every team in the tournament deserved to be in, and Virginia clearly showed yesterday why they deserve to be in the field. But other than that, I mean, anyone can really beat anyone in terms of the at-large bids. Obviously, there's some conference champions that might get smoked, but hey, you know what? Who am I to say? Because I remember last year we had Purdue lose to FDU, Arizona lose to, I believe, Princeton. You had a couple years ago, guys. We don't want to bring this up. We might have had Kentucky winning the bracket, and they might have lost the first round. We don't need to bring up Kentucky losing to St. Peter's, but it just happens, and that's why I love March Madness, because you can do as much research as you want. You can watch as many games as you want. You can come up with all these theories, all the reasons why this team's better than this team, and at the end of the day, it's March Madness. Anything can happen. I can promise you, last year there was no metric that was showing FDU as a better team than Purdue. There was no metric from 2 years ago showing St. Peter's is a better team than Kentucky, but it's a single elimination tournament. All it takes is just getting hot for one game, and anything can happen. That's why I love this tournament more than any other postseason in all of sports, just because, like I said, it's one game. All bets are out the door. It's one game. Anything can happen. No one's safe. I'm so ready to lock in for these next 4 days, guys, and just basketball for 4 days.
That's all you need.
Sounds lovely. You sold it. If you weren't bought into March Madness yet, Steve just sold you on 4 days of chaos.
Also, you were talking about some pretty big upsets that we've had in recent years. You can't forget Princeton from last year too.
Oh, Princeton over Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was when we were making the bracket. I called my shot on Princeton there. That was one of the bigger upsets I've picked as a bet in a while. So that was, can't forget Princeton. This is why we watch, right?
Yes.
And something, I'm always going to be an NBA guy, but something about the tournament that you'll just never see in the NBA is just the necessity of adapting on the fly, because we see it. Like, you can't have a cold shooting night in the tournament. You immediately, if your guys are cold, you have to find a different way to play offense and to win. There's ever changing, coaches trying to make adjustments against one another for 2 whole halves, and it's chaos almost every game. Mm-hmm. It's just the best.
There's no game 2. There's no like, let's regroup, we'll get them next time. Right. No, it's like, it doesn't matter. You started off cold and you're down 15-2 to start the game. Well, guess what? You got a 13-point deficit now to overcome. And that's what I love about college basketball, guys, right? It's so chaotic, because you see, and some people be like, oh, it's sloppy. I beg to differ. I love seeing the crazy turnovers. I love seeing a team that's been so great the entire way, and then a full court press comes in and they just forget like how to dribble, how to pass. I love seeing a kid just lights out from 3. Man, I mean, that's why I love college basketball. Just, it's chaotic. Anything can happen. And this year is as chaotic as it's ever been going into a tournament.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I'm too excited. Let's get into the March Madness. But first, just a few quick NBA notes, because obviously we do cover NBA here primarily, but we're going to spend pretty much all of this show on our bracket. So let's just run through. A lot of this is just kind of injury stuff. Mm-hmm. OG Anunoby, unfortunately, we'll lead off with him in the Knicks. Out again with the same elbow injury. There was rumors that he could play through, and that, maybe it's not all that serious. It's always, at least a little bit serious, though, when it's a re-aggravation of the same injury. Mm-hmm. It is that same elbow, and he came out yesterday saying he's not comfortable playing through an injury, which, I don't blame him by any means. The Knicks organization can't blame him, but
it's tough for the Knicks too. I believe they're 14 or 13-2 with Anunoby when he plays. I mean, that's a huge loss. Like, we have always talked about how underrated Anunoby is, and he's finally starting to get the love he deserves. But man, dude, I mean, that's a brutal setback for the Knicks. completely different team with him on the court and without him.
And they're already without Julius Randle too. Like this is a team where I would like, even if Randle comes back, he's going to be hampered at this point, where at least not in the form that he was in earlier in the year. So it's a tough loss. There were reports yesterday, like you were saying, Dunny, that apparently Raptors personnel was saying that he doesn't like to play through pain. And I don't, whatever, bro. Like, I don't blame you. Like, you got money to make. You can't be worried about that. And he's on the verge of a very large contract this summer, whether it's from the New York Knicks or somebody else. So now is not the time to mess around with that and play through some kind of nagging injury that could put your market value down. Like, that's just where we're at this point. I think he'll be back at some point. I bet you he probably tries to play in the playoffs. Yeah, like, I could see him doing that, but they're not. The thing about the Knicks right now, they're 3 games back, I think, of Cleveland, 2 or 3 games back. It's going to be hard for them to catch and surpass them without OG and Randall. But even if they do, would you rather play Orlando at the 5, or would you rather play the Pacers or the Heat or potentially the Sixers and Joel Embiid, who are looming in one of those spots? Like, I am a Cavs fan. I'm terrified of the scenario where Embiid comes back, is a monster. They end up the 6th seed. And then you're playing the team who was the 2nd best team in the East all year in that round. So it really is like the seeding is going to be crazy, and it might work out better for the Knicks, honestly.
Yeah. The Magic are only a half game behind them right now.
I know.
That's nuts, man.
Both on a 4-game win streak. The Knicks
Magic's been great.
Yeah. And the Knicks are lucky that Brunson's been able to do what he's been able to do the last 3 games. I think he's averaging 40 points over the last 3.
Man.
So, yeah, I mean, the throw in the OG Anunoby injury just make that middle of the pack in the East that much more interesting. Another injury from the East, another injury for your Cavs, Jake. But Donovan Mitchell will need a procedure on a nasal fracture he suffered earlier this week. He'll be evaluated in a week. This is the blessing here, or, blessing and a curse, I guess. But, Mitchell, he had the knee scope a few weeks ago, said he would be back on the court after, 3 or 4 games. That was pretty much true. He came back quickly, which isn't always the case. Hopefully, this nasal procedure is the same thing. He'll be evaluated again in a week. Hopefully he can play shortly after that. Jake, I know you talked about if we get a masked Donovan Mitchell, that might be something special.
You never know.
I mean, I think at this point, with the injuries the Cavs have had, and whether it's, Garland at the beginning of the year and Mobley going down a couple times, now Mitchell having these 2 weird injuries, if anything, it just speaks volumes to what they've been able to do this year.
Dunny, thank you so much. I'm in this Cavs chat that there's like one I'm like the middle ground. I have a too optimistic of a Cavs fan and the most doomer Cavs fan. That is the dynamic we have. And that's what I said.
Is the doomer Eric?
Yes, of course it is. And he's talking about today, like sending this thing in about how the Cavs have missed like the 7th most, whatever amount of games they have missed is like top 6 or 7 in the league for players. I'm like, bro, they're 3rd in the East with those many games. Think of how good this team was if they'd be healthy. That's the only thing I can think about. Is like that's exactly what you're saying. Like the grit and how this speaks volumes to what the Cavs have done. Just their style of play. Like they will just grind the shit out of you. If they don't have their stars, we're just going to slow it down and muck it up. That's what they did Sunday against the Pacers. That game was 108-103. That Pacers team scoring 120 every single game. Like they just mucked it up. It was a gross game. But it also speaks to the fact that they've got a bench now this year too. Like that's what they did. And you can complain, Cavs fans can complain about Niang. They can complain about Strus. You can complain about Dean Wade and all these guys. But they don't need to be on every single night. What they needed is to have some guys on that bench beyond some nights, and a Sam Merrill who was not supposed to be a contributor on this team and obviously has been. So yeah, Dunny, it speaks volumes to just where the Cavs are at. Does that mean they're going to beat the Celtics? I don't think so, but it's a race for 2nd best in the East this year. If they can win a series, like if they beat the Bucks in a series in the 2nd round, I'm sorry, no Cavs fan should be. That's a success for the year. Like if they make the Eastern Conference Finals, the way this year is gone. So
I know Donnie's really devastated talking about all these Eastern Conference injuries right now with his Celtics banner just on the wall behind him. And it must be so tough for you, Donnie, talking about all these Eastern Conference playoff teams.
I don't root for injury. I'd be cool with whoever's in front of us. But yes, noticing the banner, 2008, last one there. Hopefully we can add another number this year. That's all I'll say. We'd be stupid to not bring up the Anthony Edwards dunk of a lifetime. I just want to get this out of the way. Fuck everyone who's saying that it's not a dunk because his hand didn't touch the rim. And he didn't flush it in. It's like, are we serious? That's borderline more impressive.
He injured John Collins from it, bro.
He gave him a concussion from dunking on him.
Did you see just the look of John Collins' face, too, as he's getting dunked on? I mean,
yeah, and then like the image after him, just I know he got a concussion, so it's not really funny, but it is just the imagery of all the still images throughout the dunk, and then him just kind of like putting his head in his hands at the end of it. Then Ant with a dislocated finger staying in the game. It was beautiful, man.
I'm okay. I'm okay with not touching the rim, right? If it looks like a fierce dunk, right?
Yeah.
If it's one thing you chuck it, but it looked like in real time, it's like, oh my Lord, what did he just do? So I'm okay with it. But I mean, that's Anthony Edwards for you. Once a year, we're gonna get something like this from him.
Yeah. And if it hasn't been
look at that still
look
shot,
where he is, bro.
That literally looks like a scene, like a still image or a image grab out of Space Jam, where they're just the Monstars are just extending their arms to dunk. It's crazy, man. Shout out, Ant. That was really sick. I know everyone's already talked about it. So, oh my god, yeah, we're just Jake's bringing. If you're just listening, go to YouTube and watch because we're just pulling up all the angles of the still images right now. And
There's one more. This is like,
oh no,
this is beyond absurd, dude. Just like, look at poor John Collins here. He's like,
dude,
get me out of here. Look how far away he
was still going up at that point too, Anthony. Yeah. He was still going up.
And respect to John Collins for trying, because anyone that jumps with Ant, you are not as sane of a person as I, because I even if I was John Collins' size, I don't think I'd be jumping with that.
That's fair.
The other thing about throwing it in is like, it's not like this is DeAndre Jordan who used to do that quite a bit, where he jumps like a tiny bit and he's already that high above the rim. It's like, Anthony Edwards is a shooting guard who can elevate to this level to be able to throw that in. So you could argue it's almost more impressive. But yeah, I mean, we just had to give Ant his flowers. He's one of the better young personalities in the league right now.
Yeah.
And his personality reflects what he does on the court. It's all extra. It's all over the top. It's all must see. And that just embodies who Anthony Edwards is.
100%. It was insane.
It's great, man. Steve, give us Steve did not put this bullet point in the doc, but it somehow appeared there.
Yeah.
I want everyone to know Steve did not put this bullet point in the doc, but let's hear a little Mavs minute.
So Kyrie Irving is him, that left-handed floater.
Yes.
Unbelievable to beat the Nuggets. Probably the biggest win for the Mavs this season by far. Huge win there. We're not going to talk about that they were up 13 with 6 minutes to go. Almost blew it because Jason Kidd brought in Tim Hardaway and Maxi Kleber. That doesn't need to be discussed. What needs to be discussed is Kyrie. Just an absolute circus shot. Unbelievable. The Mavs, who were the opposite of, clutch net rating last year, are actually first now this year in the NBA, which is crazy, where that turnaround, people want to say the Mavs are clutch, whatever. They won 6 of 7. Luka MVP might be back on. I know he had a bad shooting night last night. We're not going to talk about that. He's still at 16 assists. All these people on social media trying to say, oh, Luka won 6 of 20. So yeah, he had his worst shooting night of the season. I get it. He's still at 16 assists. I don't want to hear it. But two huge wins, right? You have this one over the Nuggets where they blow the lead, and I'm like, I've seen this story all the time before. They're gonna lose the game, and then Luka hits a 3 with 25 seconds to go, which people don't really talk about that shot, but crazy shot to tie the game. And then Jamal Murray shoots early, I should say, in the shot clock, given just a couple seconds for the Mavs. Where Kyrie Irving, I mean, just look at that still image, right? I mean, insane. He's not a left hand, by the way, guys. Just want to put that out there. That's not his dominant hand. Unreal floater. They beat the Spurs last night in a game where, didn't play too great offensively. Dante Exum played well. Kyrie played well. Luka could shoot well, but they still beat the Spurs. And now they got 2 games coming up against the Jazz and 2 games against the Kings. And I'm looking at it right now. They're they can get a 6 seed. They can get out of the play-in.
They're tied right now with the Kings.
They're tied with the Kings. 4 huge games coming up. 1 6 of 7. This has been the story of the Mavs season. Just streaks, right? They'll win 5 of 6, then they'll lose 4 of 5. It just feels like they've been going in streaks. But I'll tell you what, man, they have a chance. And if they do move up there, then I better see Luka back in MVP talks because I'm tired. I'm tired. Shea being the favorite now. It's college basketball today. That is for a whole nother time. But the fact that he's the favorite now, it's just says all you need to know about what they think for the NBA MVP award. Because there's no reason Jokic should have fell out of it. And the fact that Luka's still third, at least he's third now. But the fact that he's still behind. No.
One thing on the shot itself
Oh.
is that Kyrie's definitely practiced that a million times in his life. Like Kyrie Irving.
100%.
He's taken that shot so many times. He knew that he was going to that exact shot. Like, if there's one man who has practiced every single like machination of a shot, it's Kyrie. And it was the most insane. Like, because I was not watching this game live, and I all of a sudden I had checked my phone like 10 minutes later, and you guys had blown me up, and my brother had texted me and were like, "Did you see the mat?" I was like, "Okay, something crazy happened," and that was the last kind of Kyrie play I was expecting. And then I was like, "But if anybody's gonna do that, it's Kyrie."
Yeah,
like
it's
that's
Kyrie.
and he's been 25-5-5, and Bill Simmons, he played last night. He has now played 19 straight games. This is Ryan Russillo brought this stat up. It's the first time he's played 18 straight games since 2016. Steve,
crazy.
2016.
But dude, he's locked in.
Year.
He's locked into the Mavs, which is he loves it in Dallas, and Dallas loves him. I mean, you talk about how I don't want to talk about the fantasy basketball playoffs, JPC. He just ruined my day. But you talk about just how the Mavs have treated Kyrie too, and everything they've done for him. Like, we all knew the talent was never the question, right? It was the fact that, is he going to be a distraction off the court? Like, is he going to be locked in? And I can safely say this year that Kyrie has. And that's phenomenal to hear going into the playoffs, because you talk about Kyrie making circus shots. We've seen Luka make his fair share of circuit shots too. So I have 2 options like that when games matter, late game. I mean, how can you complain?
No, can't.
And it's really cool because obviously the shot was just the most Kyrie thing ever. Left hand runner, already super difficult, high difficulty shot over Jokic against the Denver Nuggets. It all just it all together made it so special. And Steve, I don't think, obviously you never want to blow a 13 lead like that. But I think it's just impressive you close that game at all.
Yeah,
and
I do too.
And it is still the Denver Nuggets at the end of the day. And one last thing I want to say about Kyrie and the Mavs. You said the Mavs respect him and they're kind of taking care of him, and that's probably why he's bought in. This is really cool that I saw today. Obviously, Kyrie's going through Ramadan right now, not eating. He only can at select times. The Mavs have hired a personal chef just for Kyrie to make him his meals during this time. That's the other thing. He not eating, not drinking anything, and then going out performing. It wasn't that he just hit the shot. He played a great game offensively before that too. Hits the game winner over Jokic as time expires. Lefty runner, floater. Never seen anything like it. You could say what you want about Kyrie. As a Celtics fan, I have my differences with the guy, but can never say anything about his play, man. No. He's one of the most skilled ever, one of the better point guards I've ever seen. And shout out Kyrie, man. That shit was awesome.
That's great.
Last bullet point, real quick. Paul George could be leaving the Los Angeles Clippers? ?
Shocker. Someone leaves after James Harden joins the team. That's a wow. Wow, what a shock.
I was going to say clockwork. It, but Steve said it for me.
Like clockwork. So there's some rumors Paul George could be out. People are thinking an Eastern Conference team would try to snag him in free agency. Where do you guys think, if you guys could pick an Eastern Conference team to put Paul George on, a realistic one, someone that could actually afford him, or at least you think could make the money work? Where do you guys think?
Why not Orlando?
I don't
That'd be
hate
sick.
Orlando.
They got money to spend. No
Yeah.
no sales tax in Florida there. No income tax. I mean, like
Mm.
it's another team. Like the Heat are a team you could think of for that. But the Heat,
Yeah.
like they're kind of older roster. I don't think like the Knicks. Maybe the Knicks are the other team you would think of. But other than that, like I can't really find a spot for them.
What
I feel like
about
Orlando's a sleepy team there.
a
But
reunion
going
to
home.
Indiana?
Yeah.
A reunion to Indiana
Oh.
pre-injury. Paul George
That's
goes
a good
home
call.
now.
Would they have to let Siakam walk though to make that work?
I think it would either be Siakam or Miles, right?
Yeah.
It'd have to be one of the two. But I mean, a reunion
a good
would always
call.
be cool, especially too after like how good Paul George was for the Pacers. Then that
Yeah.
devastating injury happens. Then he's kind of bounced around since then. And he's finally gotten back right to that level of play he was pre-injury. I think that would be very cool. Also, to put him with a great playmaking point guard like Tyrese Halliburton would be great for him.
I think
Philly would be interesting too.
Philly would be a good spot.
I think someone that could definitely make it happen. I don't know, how good they would be, but also just a fun duo. Mikal Bridges and PG in Brooklyn would be some. I don't know if he would want to go to Brooklyn. I don't know if they could make it work because they've made some questionable moves here. But that's another team.
Yeah, it really depends what Paul wants. Like going to the Clippers was a big thing for him, going back home, everything else. And now if it might be a Harden thing, but also they might just not want to pay all of them.
Yeah,
and they might just be picking Harden over Paul George. And you know what? Like I get it. I get why you would want to do that. Like if you just look at basketball resumes and everything else too. Like I can and like star power for selling out this arena next year. Like if you're picking between Harden and George, Harden's a shiny new toy. Like it's James Harden. Like is what we're talking about here.
Well, they also different players, right? I almost feel like it's between Kawhi and Paul George, where Kawhi's just kind of like an upgraded Paul George, right? Is that fair to say? I know their games are a little different. I know that their games are a little different, but Kawhi to me just feels like he checks more boxes than Paul George.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think that's
did they really even want Paul? Like, did they want Paul at that time when they got him, or was getting Paul like obviously they want a superstar or whatever, but getting Paul was a part of getting Kawhi. Like Kawhi was like, you have to go get Paul George for me too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, people probably thought Paul George. I mean, I kind of thought Paul George was going to stay in Oklahoma City. Yeah. To be honest. Yeah. So it's been an interesting dynamic with Paul George and the Clippers to begin with, and maybe that's just what it is. Like, it comes down to a money game or whatever else, and the games are very similar. Like Harden and Kawhi mesh a lot better. Steve, that's a great point. Like you're just talking about two guys as a fit, and PG's 34 years old too. That's the I had no idea. Like he's the one who really snuck up on me with his age. So. Got to watch who you're paying max contracts to at 34 years old. And that's why, James Harden's a risk too, obviously. But we'll see.
All right. That was our last note. That was the news and notes of the NBA and the last of our NBA talk for this episode. Let's get into the madness, guys. If you're just listening live, I suggest watching on YouTube because Jake in a moment here is going to pull up the bracket for us, and then we're going to go through every game, make our picks collectively as a podcast, and we're going to fill out the whole bracket. And we're at the end,
official HHH bracket, guys, the official one.
Officially official.
Yeah, if you guys watched or listened last year, you would know we kind of lay out the matchup for everyone, and then we just it's nice that there's three of us, so we can't all, I guess if we all have the same pick, we just take that pick, but it's nice that we have a tiebreaker is what I'm trying to say here. So we're going to get right into that. Maybe we'll give our own winners of our own brackets, our personal brackets that we've made.
I think we should give our final four at the end.
Maybe our Happy Hour Hoops official bracket might get past the second weekend.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
That'd be cool.
Maybe that would be fun. That would be a new thing to try.
Just to start, yeah. Let's aim low.
People will believe that.
Just get our champ to the Sweet 16. We can't even get out of the round of 32.
Yeah, that's a great point, Steve. You're always thinking. All right, we got
All
the
right.
East region.
Let's start in the East.
Start in the East.
UConn, Stetson, Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York. We're just picking UConn, right?
Yeah, we're taking UConn. I got to give a little shout out to the Stetson Mad Hatters. They played well in their tournament, and they're a fun team to watch. They've been a fun team to watch this year, but UConn is obviously.
All right. Don't gotta spend a lot of time there. FAU, Northwestern. Starting off on Friday morning. FAU obviously made the Final Four last year. Northwestern, Boo Booey, Big Ten. I'm leading FAU here, guys. That's
Yeah.
I also am.
They're bringing back the majority of the guys that took them to the Final Four last year. It's experience that kind of plays out for me here. And also FAU, I mean, 8 seed is, I thought they would be a little lower based on what they did at the end of the year. But when they get going, they can play with anybody. So I'll take FAU.
Dunny, anything to add on FAU?
I have FAU in most of my brackets there.
Okay.
People forget FAU beat Arizona earlier this season.
I did forget that, actually.
See, people forget.
See, it's a great point. San Diego State, UAB, Spokane, Washington. I've been at a toss up here, guys. I don't really know what to do, so I'm leaving it with you.
I like San Diego State a lot here in this 5-12. I think UAB, they won their conference, but I don't think UAB was ever that good of a tournament team. I think they got a higher seed than they probably should have gotten, just because, you know, how the bubble was in the conference tournaments. I love San Diego State. I mean, they play that style of basketball that's just so hard to counter sometimes because they play their slow, grind you out defense, but they have good offensive players. I got a guy who's averaging over 21 points a game, right? So I'll take the Aztecs pretty confidently. Maybe my most confident 5-12.
Wow, Dunny, you're in agreement.
Yeah, I usually like to take a peek at the 12s here, but I don't know if it's just because it's Kawhi Leonard's school. I always have a thing for San Diego State, and this one was pretty easy.
Another team that made the Final Four last year, actual national championship game last year, and not only with San Diego State too, like they're in the Mountain West, and I told you guys I needed to talk about the Mountain West a little bit this year. The Mountain West, I think, was criminally underseeded across the board. There are people complaining, oh, they got too many teams in. I'd argue the opposite. I think it was criminally underrated. A lot of good teams in the Mountain West. So I'm pretty high on the Mountain West teams in this tournament.
San Diego State beat Gonzaga this year too, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, they did.
They did. I like San Diego State. They've been a solid program for a while now too. So I mean, it's a good pick. Just didn't know where you stood on UAB. Didn't know if it was a thought there. Auburn, Yale, Yale Bulldogs. That I'm not an Auburn fan. Like Auburn, I picked them a couple times, got burned by them a couple times. Bruce Pearl, he's prone to some of these things in March. I don't know if I can pick Yale here though. What do you think, Danny?
I was gonna say I have Auburn here. Something wanted me to take the Ivy League underdog again, but I'm going Auburn here.
I'm terrified of Ivy schools because every time I pick against them, they beat me. Every time I pick against an Ivy school, they get the upset and they beat me. But I will say I think Auburn is maybe one of the most disrespectful seeds here. I think they were probably a 2 seed in terms of talent. They get a 4 seed. I love this Auburn team. They can play with anyone. They can slow it down but they can speed it up. They can shoot. They got Johnny Broome is fantastic. But they have such depth and just talent all across the board offensively. I really, really like Auburn this year. It kind of scares me how much I like them because I know it's just going to be classic Steve loves a team, loses to an Ivy school.
We've got part of the round of 32 there set. We went all chalk. So let's see how the bottom half of the pods here go. BYU Duquesne. So
let's stop the chalk, gentlemen. I got Duquesne here.
You got the Dukes.
Yeah.
I'm not disagree.
My A10 brethren.
That's fair.
A10 was bad this year, Donnie. I think you can admit that. The A10
had tournament, bro.
Had it down here. It was a good tournament. But it's another one of those things where I think Duquesne probably should have been like a 13, 14 seed just based on
they're not deserving
their
of
year.
the seed at all. But
and they said BYU is a 5. They literally told us that. On the bracket show. They're like, yeah, BYU's a 5, but they can't play on Sunday, so they put them on Thursday, Saturday.
BYU is, I mean, they shoot lights out. They'll shoot you out of a gym, but it's another one of those teams that they play slow, but they shoot like crazy. I love BYU here. This is one of those teams where I think BYU could be a sneaky Cinderella type run. And I'll talk about the other team that joined the Big 12 this year that's always been a good basketball school, and now they got competition. It's where you got to change your mind to the BYU right in the West Coast. BYU has played good competition all year long. The Big 12 was fantastic. I really, really like this BYU team. I don't see the upset here. It's just mainly because I think Duquesne isn't an 11. They're more of like a 13. And BYU, I think, can beat anyone at any given point, just how balanced they are shooting across the board.
They did. I can't remember how close it ended, but I feel like they played Houston pretty close this year, no?
Yeah. They played Houston. I think Houston pulled away a little bit at the end, but they played them close. They beat Iowa State, I believe, this year too, who everyone loves. They beat Kansas when Kansas was healthy, which is in my opinion, was a good win. And I believe that was on the road.
Rick, you're gonna have to tie break here, then, man.
I know. I'm sorry, Donnie. I got to put your A10 brother down.
Hey, that's all right. It was more, this is a gut feeling and more just, I had the feeling a little bit and it was A10, so that was easy for me.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say most of my brackets, I have that as an upset, so we'll see.
We will see. It's a good spot for it. I was also following the Big Ten, the A10 tournament closely, and I feel like if this was would Loyola of Richmond been a 10 or 11, I feel like they would have too. Like if Loyola makes this field, they weren't any much higher, that would have felt like a better spot. It was a weird A10 tournament, A10 year.
Weird.
Usually we have such a better A10 just top to bottom, and they were all kind of like the same mid teams that couldn't really beat better teams in the country, but they beat up on each other this year. That tournament was crazy though. But yeah, I'm leading BYU, but I don't really like either of these teams. To be honest, from what I've seen this year so far. So it's kind of just gonna pick one. But I'm scared of this pick here. Illinois Morehead State. Illinois is ripe for an upset in this tournament, I think.
I'm kind of with you, but I don't think they'll lose to Morehead just because I have watched some Morehead games this year, guys. And when they go cold, they go cold.
Ice cold.
I'm like ice cold when they go cold. I think Illinois will get by them, but this will be probably my theme going forward. I'm fading the Big Ten. I think the Big Ten had a really down year this season, and I think it was kind of overshadowed by just how Purdue was. Purdue played great out of conference. Don't get me wrong there. So Purdue proved themselves out of conference and kind of dominated the conference, but I think it drops off very hard. I know Illinois was kind of the second best in the Big Ten team. Terrence Shanning's fantastic, great scorer, but they really only have two big options on this team, and then it kind of falls off. I'm a little worried about Illinois. I'll take them over Morehead State, though. But this is not a team. I think people are a lot higher on Illinois than I am, and also it's one of those teams, right? Everyone watches Sunday before Selection Sunday, so you watch Illinois win the Big Ten championship. That everyone saw that game. They maybe saw the past couple games of Illinois, and Illinois looked good in the Big Ten tournament. Not disputing that, but I'm not completely sold on them this year. I'll be honest.
Pardon my take today. Mark Titus mentioned Illinois has not beat a team currently ranked in the top 25 this year. That's crazy. That causes some pause for me. And Wisconsin is like an arguable other top 25 team. They beat them, but I mean, who cares? Like if they beat, were you impressed enough by Wisconsin all year to be like, okay, you beat Wisconsin, you should be a national title contender? I don't know about that. I hear a lot of Illinois. I hear a lot of Illinois propaganda here. I was at a house full of Illinois fans on Sunday during this game. This team it scares me going forward. I will pick them against Morehead here, but that BYU matchup is I don't really like BYU either, but it feels like they could just muck it up with Illinois and slow them down. Like, I don't know, man. But I'll go with Illinois too here. Dunny, do you agree?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. If we get like a first half and Moorhead's in the game, I'm live betting Moorhead. I'm rooting for more. I'm live betting Moorhead, and I'm rooting for it.
Here we go. Washington State, Drake from Omaha. How are you guys feeling about this?
Drizzy, baby.
Yeah, I'm with
Give me Drake.
I feel like everyone's on Drake.
I was gonna say it
Well,
almost seems like
is,
it's chalk to take the underdog in this matchup because everyone and their mother is on Drake. But I
completely agree. But I love this Drake team.
Right.
I really do. I still, and I will give them just 5 seconds. I don't understand how Indiana State doesn't make the tournament.
Same.
I thought Drake and Indiana State were both easily going to get in. I think they were 2 really good basketball schools. I love Drake. Drake is a balanced team. They have a couple stars. They don't really beat themselves with turnovers. They can shoot lights out, as we saw too in, people forget because it feels like it was a week and a half ago, but in their conference championship, I mean, they could not miss in the first half. But that's kind of been the case, the theme for Drake, not just this year, but the past, 3-4 years with this core. I love Drake.
I may or may not have them making it to the Sweet 16 in one of my brackets.
I may or may not have them. I may or may not have them in the Sweet 16 as well, and maybe the Elite 8.
Maybe. Oh no! Maybe. Oh no! Lock in Washington State. Lock in Washington State now.
I don't like Iowa State and I don't like Illinois. That's like my read on this region is I'm like, I don't really like either of those teams in this 2 or 3 seed.
Kind of with you.
This was the more difficult, I think the most difficult region for me as far as actually evaluating teams and what I've watched this year and trying to pick winners. I think this was the toughest for me.
You want to know something crazy about this region, guys? 13 of the 16 teams won their conference championship. That's crazy. 13 of the 16. Also, you have 3 of the 4 Final Four teams from last year. I know everyone knows that. But 13 of they just threw all the conference champions. They obviously you're going to get that with some of the lower seeds anyways, because that's the only way they get in. But the big conferences we're talking about, right? You have UConn won the Big East, Iowa State won the Big 12, Auburn won the SEC. Illinois won the Big 10. They threw them all in there.
It's crazy.
Wild to me. And I usually like to fade a couple of the teams that win their conference championship because I feel like it's harder to carry that momentum over with that 4 or 5 day break, especially if the team kind of overachieves and gets hot. And what am I going to do? Fade all 4?
Yeah. You might have to.
They're all in here.
That's a great point. Do we have this is not the best Jackrabbits team we've had in March Madness. It's not the most exciting. We just going to go with Iowa State here. We'll wrap up the East region.
Yeah. If it was the best Jackrabbits team, I'd take the Jackrabbits because I've been for the Jackrabbits. But
I'm with you there, buddy.
Iowa State. I'm just looking at this now. I knew they beat them once. Iowa State beat Houston twice.
Oh, they killed Houston. They killed Houston in the championship game, and then they beat Houston back in the regular season. They split with them
in January.
Yep.
Wow.
Two dog matches in the regular season too. I think 2 low scoring games.
Yeah, one was the one in January was 57-53.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right, so we have UConn, FAU, San Diego State, Auburn, BYU, Illinois, Drake, Iowa State in our East region round of 32. We're looking good there. Let's go down to the West.
Let's go to the West.
We're going North Carolina. Dunny's hat right now.
Yep, UNC, baby.
All right, I like that. Easy enough. Mississippi State, Michigan State. We just put an MSU on the bracket and hoping for
Izzo.
Well, which MSU?
Yeah.
Exactly. You read my mind.
It's a weird one because Michigan State really hasn't beaten anyone good, but they always are in the game no matter who they play, where Mississippi State could beat anybody or could lose to anybody in this tournament, including the 16 seed Wagner. Like that's how Mississippi State is. They've just been up and down. I'm going to go with
Izzo. They destroyed Tennessee last.
Oh, I know.
Like
I know
Tennessee had no incentive to win that game, but I was sitting there locked. It was like, what is happening right
They
now?
also killed Tennessee. They beat Tennessee again too. They beat Tennessee twice, I believe. And then they also beat Auburn this year. They can beat anyone. They can also lose to anyone. They're all over the place. The thing I like about Michigan State, even though they've never won any of these games, they played Duke close, they played Arizona close, they played Purdue close both times they played them. They did beat Baylor. I think it was a banged up Baylor, if I'm not mistaken. And they played Illinois. They did beat Illinois. They split with Illinois.
Yep.
But Michigan State's just in every game. And I know the 14 losses is a lot. And I know people might be high on Mississippi State because the last thing you saw them, they beat Tennessee. I'm going to take
Give me
Sparty.
Izzo, man.
Yeah,
give me Izzo in March.
All right.
Sometimes that's how I gotta break these things down.
Right.
Also, a juicy Saturday, North Carolina, Michigan.
Oh, everyone wants that round of 32.
Right.
Yeah,
everyone wants that. That's a good ratings right there.
Especially CBS.
Good ratings.
CBS wants that. Yeah. I'm going with St. Mary's in this game. I'm pretty locked in on St. Mary's in Spokane.
I'm taking Grand Canyon.
Oh no! This is your 12-5?
I'm taking Grand Canyon.
Oh,
St. Mary's. Here's the thing I got to read to you. They were part of a solid metric. Go ahead, Dunny, and I'm gonna find this while they go.
Steve's making this hard for me because this is a 12-5 that I stared at probably longer than any of the other 12-5s.
Mm-hmm.
And even still to this point, I don't really know where I'm at. I think just for the sake of our bracket, I might just lean Grand Canyon because I almost did it in a couple of my brackets. I think only one of my brackets I've selected Grand Canyon. So let's do it again here.
I'm taking Grand Canyon. St. Mary's plays a very slow style, and they're very good defensively, but they play a very slow style. And sometimes I don't love that in the tournament when you play a team like Grand Canyon, who is a pretty balanced team, not the deepest team in the world, but they're pretty balanced. They have a star who can take over, which is always a big kind of, I guess I don't know. I'd say it's a reason for me to like a lower seed. I like to have that guy who can take the game over, who can run the offense through him. And Grand Canyon is a team that's just balanced offensively and defensively. I like Grand Canyon. I think they're balanced on both ends of the court. I think they're balanced as their starting five. And I think they're going to hang in the game with St. Mary's. And if you hang in the game with St. Mary's, I'll take Grand Canyon. Also, too, Grand Canyon, I know it's not for nothing, but 6th seed South Carolina played them tough earlier in the year. They beat San Diego State, who's a 5 seed. And that's what I like to see with these double-digit seeds, right? I want to see in the non-conference games, the games you played months ago, because – you don't really know their scheme. You don't really know what's going on. Obviously, the conference games, you start to learn about your opponents, right? You're playing them 2-3 times a year. Those non-conference games months ago, I know they're older games, but I put a lot of value into them because I just want to see how you handle different types of teams, different types of, schemes that are thrown at you. And Grand Canyon has kind of proved that where, 2 slow teams, San Diego State and South Carolina, barely lost to South Carolina, beat San Diego State. That goes a long way for me where I'm going to give Grand Canyon the edge. I think they've shown they can play that slow style and beat it. So I'll take them over St. Mary's.
All right. I will concede to you both. On Grand Canyon. I'm not married to St. Mary's, no pun intended, but we'll go with that. I did pick the College of Charleston to beat Alabama as well. This Alabama 4 seed is crazy to me, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
the 4 seed shouldn't be a thing. I thought about doing Charleston. I think I'm Bama here, but I don't really believe in Bama too much this year. Complete opposite of last year, but I mean.
Yeah,
that turnout.
I don't either. And here's the thing with Bama that doesn't scare me of picking Charleston. Bama plays the exact same style Charleston plays. They both play the same style. Do. We want to turn this into a track meet. As many shots up in the game as possible as we can get is what we want. 2 very, very talented offenses. Charleston's defense actually a lot better according to the metrics than Bama. But I say this all the time. Bama's playing in the SEC. Where's Charleston playing, right?
Yeah.
It's completely different competition. It's tough because I like Charleston's talent. I like this team coming into the tournament. The problem is they play the exact same style as Alabama does, so they're not going to make Alabama uncomfortable. So at that point, it's like who's going to be the hotter shooting team? Trust me, I want to take Charleston. I feel like the smarter play is to take Alabama just because I think it's a lot harder for a team to upset someone when you're playing the exact same style of basketball, because Bama's never going to be uncomfortable, right? They're like, we'll play a track meet. We'll play a high turnover, high 3-point shooting track meet with you all day.
I will say, and I know Charleston is not Kentucky by any means, but that I think it wasn't March yet. I think it was that like, closer to the end of February.
Mm-hmm.
But Bama tried playing their brand against Kentucky. I know Kentucky's offense is just disgusting this year, but we did see where it didn't work out too well for them. And I know that's obviously complete different talent scale, but I think that's a reason none of us are really too crazy high on Bama, because they're beatable is what Bama is.
So what did you pick, Steve?
So I'm gonna go with Bama here. This is one of those games I've been back and forth in my bracket. Like this is one of those, because I've taken Grand Canyon pretty much in all my brackets. So I'm like, do I really want Grand Canyon Charleston second round matchup? I kind of do, but I don't know if that's the smart thing.
Well, I will definitely be sending you guys my Charleston bet on Friday night, just to let you know.
I was gonna say this is 2 games in a row we've strongholded Jake. We gotta stop this madness.
Or maybe you don't. Maybe you shouldn't listen to me at all.
Also, I'm getting weird here, so you guys can go first.
I like this Clemson team. I picked them here. You guys are both going to pick New Mexico, though. I feel like the way I hear this,
I don't like this Clemson team. I don't like this Clemson team. I'm a little worried because I feel like everyone's on New Mexico, and New Mexico just had the conference run for the ages in the Mountain West. I think the Mountain West, call me crazy, I know you have Duke and North Carolina. I think throughout the season, the Mountain West was a better conference than the ACC this year. I truly believe that. I know you have Carolina and Duke, but after that, I don't really like anyone in the ACC. I'm going to take New Mexico here. It's mainly because I don't like Clemson that much. I'm not. It's not that I think New Mexico is amazing, but I think they're good enough to beat Clemson. I think they were underseeded too, like with every Mountain West team. And like I told you guys, I got Mountain West bias this year. I think it was a great conference. It might have been because it was the late night games I watched on my TV all the time. When the Mavs were over, I'm like, I got to bet on something. I put a Mountain West game on, but I do like the Mountain West, and I'm scared because New Mexico was so hot in their conference tourney, and it feels like, everyone's going to be like, look at how good this team's coming into the tournament, and then they lose first round. But I don't like Clemson. I really don't. And PJ Hall, bleh. I know he's good, but bleh. I don't want to root for you.
You guys want to know why I'm taking New Mexico?
Yes.
Give it to me, Donnie. I like that Jake already put it in. He already knew you were taking New Mexico.
I heard when he said he's getting weird. I was like, damn.
Yeah, that you had to have known I wasn't taking Clemson at that point. They have senior guard Jalen House, son of Eddie House, on this team. And I saw a clip 2 or 3 days ago from over the weekend during the tournaments. Jalen House hit an and one during the game. The camera pans to Eddie House in the crowd. He starts pounding his chest to the people he was with and goes, "That's my motherfucking son." And I literally got goosebumps watching this clip. His son's 6 feet tall. He averages 16 points a game, over 2 steals a game too. And I started to look into New Mexico a little more after I saw that clip, and I was like, whoever they're playing in the first round, I'm taking them.
That's fair. I can't argue with that, honestly. I can't argue with that. I'm not married to this Clemson team either. I'll just say that. I just have liked Clemson the couple times I've watched them, which really were just against Duke and North Carolina, who they played well all year. So yeah, that's fair. That's my Clemson exposure, really. Was not really watching them a ton. I trust Steve's Mountain West. I know how much Mountain West tape Steve has ran through this year.
Yeah,
so hey,
I've watched too much Mountain West. I'm not arguing. Bracket's done, bro.
Are anybody taking Colgate here? I'm going with Baylor. I'm not picking the upset.
I'm taking Baylor. Colgate's always a fun team. Colgate's always one of those teams that's exciting to watch. And, they didn't really do anything crazy out of conference. They beat Vermont, who's in the tournament. They played Syracuse tough, nothing really crazy. Baylor, though, has been injured this season. It's finally starting to get healthy come tournament time. So I think they're kind of a sleeper team coming in tournament. Really, really good guard play and really good offense. Not your typical Baylor team. I like Baylor a lot. I really do. I think Baylor is a team that people are kind of overlooking, but they're healthy, and I think they were a 3 seed for a reason.
All right.
Good enough for me. Let's go Baylor.
I
do have some Colgate buddies, but I don't think they listen, so they won't be too hurt.
Fair enough.
Dayton and Nevada.
Give me my A10 brethren here again.
You know where Steve's going.
So this is where you guys strong arm me and take Nevada.
No,
I'm going Mount West. I'll let Jake decide.
I'm taking Dayton. I'm sorry, Steve.
Let's go.
It's okay.
Going Dayton.
Flyers.
Okay.
Going Dayton. That's just a gut feeling. Dayton's been impressed me enough this year. I don't know. I'm just leaning towards it.
I might still have a sour taste in my mouth from picking Dayton to win the A10 and what they did on the basketball court.
I had them to win the A10 too.
Yeah,
so that might be
feel
wild.
that. This one should give us some pause because of what happened last year, but I'm not being silly. I'm taking Arizona here.
Yeah. Neither am I. I'm taking Zona. The only thing that terrifies me, Long Beach State beat USC on the road this year and went to San Diego State on the road and gave them a game. So I know USC isn't in the tournament, but USC, I believe they beat Zona this year, or they played them tough. I think they beat them once. This kind of scares me because, like I said, it fits the mold of this underseeded team knows how to play, better competition. But I like this Zona team a lot, and I'm going to eat my words for like the fourth straight year. I like this Zona team is up. I know
Caleb
I do.
Love, man.
You really love Arizona.
Caleb, they got size. They play fast, but they play a lot better defense than they did last year. Caleb Love's the star, can take over. They can shoot. Long Beach State money line. Take it, guys.
That's like John Rothstein said this is the region of drama because if North Carolina and Arizona play each other at the end of it,
I'm hoping
we need it.
I'm hoping we get that. I really want to see that.
That would be crazy. So we got North Carolina, Michigan State, Grand Canyon, Alabama, New Mexico, Baylor, and Dayton, Arizona. We'll come back around, make the rest of our picks after we get through our preview here. Houston, Longwood.
Houston.
Cougars.
Houston.
Some of these will start to get a little.
Houston will hold Longwood to 35 points.
That's what I'm anticipating, honestly. But shout out Longwood. Congrats on making the tournament. Oh, wait, what's going on here? Bracket, get back here. Sorry about that. All right. Nebraska, Texas A&M. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on here because this is one of the toss-ups, great 8-9 game.
I feel like everyone's on A&M, so I'm just going to take Nebraska. I know I said I'm fading the Big Ten this year. I do kind of like Nebraska. They can score. They're a fun team to watch. They can score opposite of most of the Big Ten teams. And this means something for Nebraska too, right? I think this is for their first tournament, right?
They haven't won.
Yeah. So this is a big, I think, game for Nebraska. I'll take Nebraska. A&M, they're kind of similar to Mississippi State from the SEC, where they can beat anyone, they can lose to anyone. I'll just take Nebraska.
Beat Purdue, beat Wisconsin, beat Ohio State. I know they're not in the tourney, but Ohio State started playing good basketball second half of the year.
Yep.
Well, I was also leaning Nebraska, so we're all in agreement there.
I'm right.
Sweet.
Wisconsin and James Madison, the Dukes and the Badgers.
The most
31-3, man.
The most public 5-12 pick is going to be James Madison, and I'm going to fall right into the trap. I'll eat the cheese. Give me James Madison. I love this team. They beat Sparty to start the year. First game of the year, they beat Michigan State. Everyone's like, "Oh, what happened to Michigan State?" It's like, no, James Madison's good.
19-point spread, I think.
I believe so. And it's one of those things, right, where, like I said, I want to see how you do against teams out of conference too, because it shows you, not just who you're beating up in your conference.
Steve,
you can handle
notable result at Kent State, 113-108.
What a game.
What a game. It was like triple overtime.
Yeah, I believe it
like
was.
That.
They also beat Akron too, who was obviously in the tournament. But James Madison, man, I'll take James Madison. Wisconsin, they had their fun run in the Big Ten, but before the Big Ten tournament, they were bad. And sometimes I think, you just got to forget what happens in the conference tournament because you got that 4 days off. I'll take James Madison. I know it's chalk. It's the chalkiest upset pick of the whole time.
Yeah, it's still 12/5 though. So
it is.
I have Wisconsin here. Truthfully, I just wanted to mention too, for people who are tuned in, this is the part of my take matchup. This is Big Cat versus PFT.
Yes,
they're two alma maters. So I do like Wisconsin here. I don't know what it is. I think I've just seen Wisconsin do it in the tournament before. I think I see that red W and think back to 2015. So yeah, I have Wisconsin. This was tough for me. This is a 12-5. I definitely wanted to take a 12. I have in a lot of my brackets, I have Wisconsin, come Saturday when this game happens. This is a Saturday game, right? Yeah.
No, this is
Friday night.
Friday night.
Friday night. Sorry. I might be taking James Madison on the money line, but for the sake of this, so Jake, you have to be the tiebreaker here.
Well, I'm picking JMU here. I'm also.
I like that. I like that for our bracket.
I'll take it.
I am doing that. I would not be surprised either way. I do think Wisconsin. They've been an up and down team all year, but they can score too. They get hot shooting the ball, but I'll take 30. I love a low seed that's like 31-4. This is 31-3.
Yeah, right.
Like it's just like, okay, this team knows how to just win. They just
classic
win a lot of
like Belmont.
Yeah.
The Belmont teams, they're always like 30-3.
Yeah.
Like I'll just take them.
You know what? Sometimes just they know how to win. You know how to get through a game. Doesn't matter who it's against. So Duke and Vermont. Is anybody taking the Catamounts here?
No, but it terrifies me because it's part of my take part 2 of Hank versus Jake.
Yeah.
And Jake always wins when it's Hank versus Jake.
That's a great point.
Vermont's another experienced team. They're always in the tournament. They're a good, balanced team. I'm usually Mr. Anti-Duke. I think talent-wise, Duke is extremely talented this year, though. It's hard for me to not pick Duke. I'm going to go Duke, but like I said, I would not be shocked if Vermont wins. I really wouldn't.
I'm taking Duke as well, but I would not be shocked at all, especially this Duke team. They're just a weird team this year.
They rely too much on the 3-pointer, right?
Yep.
That's kind of the biggest downfall with Duke this year.
Yep. Texas Tech, NC State, guys. I feel like I gotta just take Tech because NC State, like, I don't know, just the fact that they even made it to and won the ACC tournament is nuts to me. So I think
Go ahead, Donnie. I'll let you go first.
I'm taking NC State strictly off DJ Burns Jr., bro. I want to see him. I want to see that man play more basketball, bro. I need to, like, I know everyone has already made all these comparisons to Escalade in the street ball style of play, but goddamn, I like that man. I like the way that man plays basketball, and I want to see more of it. So I got NC State.
Unfortunately, Dunny, you will not be seeing any more of it because Texas Tech. I love Texas Tech here. NC State, not a good team. They just had a crazy run in the ACC. I know they beat Carolina. I know they beat Duke, but this team has been so up and down all year long.
Yeah, no,
Texas Tech is a nightmare matchup for them with everything Texas Tech does well. I love Texas Tech. It's another one of those teams that people just don't forget about. They just forget about Texas Tech, but Texas Tech, super balanced team. They're a team that can really make NC State uncomfortable. Texas Tech's not going to beat themselves. They have what I like. They have guard play, and they don't turn the ball over. I think that's a key in March Madness. I'll take Tech.
All right, well, let me get a DJ Burns Jr. 30-point game at least.
We'll give
Put
you
on
that.
a show.
We'll give you that. We'll give you that at least.
Are we trusting the Kentucky Wildcats?
Against Oakland, I will.
Against
Oakland, I will.
Kentucky.
Okay.
Cal on that offense, man. Come on.
I will know that Oakland played Drake, Illinois, and Ohio State tough on the road. So they have been battle tested. They lost them all, but they played them all tough. But
no matter who wins tonight, Steve, you like Colorado. We've kind of been back and forth in this game before the show. Do either of them beat Florida though? Because I have Florida going.
I have winner of Boise, Colorado beating Florida.
Me too.
Okay.
I love Colorado. I think Colorado wins, and if Colorado does win, it's going to be disgusting how far I have Colorado going in my bracket. Oh. But I like either team. Boise State, Mountain West team, they've been great. They played great pretty much all year long. Colorado has 3 pretty much NBA type level talent. Florida lost their top rebounder for the year with broken leg.
That's
they haven't played a game without him since, so it changes everything. And I think both teams that are gonna play Florida have been battle tested, just have very, very good starting lineups and pretty good on the glass. So yeah, give me either 10.
All right, Steve, I'm noticing a theme with you, Steve, that you just are picking not just Mountain West teams, but all the teams you stay up late and watch. Because now you have Colorado. Earlier, you did pick Drake, but you loved Washington State.
I never said I loved. No. I never said I loved Washington State. You can say with a majority of the West Coast teams, but I'm all in on Drake.
No love for Washington State. Okay, all right. Well, I'm just keeping an eye on it for the rest of the way. I'm just letting you know. Marquette.
Fair enough.
I got Marquette here.
Yeah. There's a crazy stat about Shaka Smart that they have not made it past the round of 32. Is that what it is? A Shaka Smart team? Steve, I think they haven't made it past the round of 32 since the
VCU. Yeah. We're gonna take Marquette here. All I'm gonna say is in my bracket I have Western Kentucky. Tyler Kolek, their best player, is still coming off an injury, so I don't know if he's going to be 100%. Western Kentucky plays the fastest pace in the entire country. That is a scenario where they could lose by 40, or they could just make Marquette uncomfortable. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. Am I going to take the plus 15 with Western Kentucky, sprinkle on the money line and put them in my bracket and then lose 10 points to everyone in the bracket challenge when Marquette wins comfortably? Absolutely.
That's fair.
I just got to put it out there. I do have 115 seed winning Western Kentucky.
Well, how healthy Kolek is all that matters to Marquette's chances anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, and we didn't see him in the Big East tournament, so who knows? Who knows what he looks like, but maybe that was a smart move. All right, so we're on to the Midwest. Oh, let me get the recap here quick. Houston, Nebraska, James Madison, Duke, Texas Tech, Kentucky, Boise, or Colorado versus Marquette.
I love that we have an or.
We got an or. Purdue.
We're like, it doesn't matter who wins today. I'm still picking them.
It's got to be Colorado for me.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
I think so too. Purdue, we're just gonna move on at least one round.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
Nothing's guaranteed, but we're gonna do it here. Utah State, TCU. Should we just roll with your Mountain West love, Steve? And just pick
I think Utah State's the best of the Mountain West teams. Utah State, I love this team, man. They play big, right? They have size. They don't have anyone who's like 7'3", but they play big. They crash the glass. Anyone can score, and they're starting 5.
I have Utah State here.
I love Utah State.
People are going to think Steve's on the Mountain West board of directors or some shit.
I know. I said they're all underseeded. I think I picked every team to advance. I don't think I've said a bad word about any of the Mountain West teams.
That's amazing. The Zags have made a lot of Sweet 16. So imagining them losing to McNeese State would be hard. But I was just saying, I love the 31-3, 30-3 teams. McNeese pops up in this matchup 30-3.
This is one of my 12s, guys.
Oh, the Zags going down round 1. Steve, what do you think?
I loved McNeese this year when I watched them. The turnaround they had from a couple years ago, they were bottom feeders in their conference to now being a 30-win team, right? You get the new coach, their new culture. They've been fantastic. The biggest issue I have with McNeese is built exactly like Gonzaga, except Gonzaga just does it better. right? So it's similar to the Charleston, Alabama comparison, where it's kind of same style, kind of same offense, same scheme. It's just one team just has more talent, more better players. That's where I'm going Gonzaga here. I was very upset when I saw this draw because I really wanted to take McNeese. I'm not going to take them over the Zags. I just won't. I can't do it. Break my heart, Jake.
Sorry, Donnie. I'm picking the Zags here.
That's fine.
I'm picking the Zags. I'm breaking your heart. Don't worry, Steve. We're all love here. I can't get it out of my head. The only time, or I don't know if it's the only time, but one of the last times that Gonzaga lost in the first round was to Steph Curry. I don't think McNeese State has Steph Curry. So I'm gonna just roll with Gonzaga.
Fair enough.
Kansas, Samford. I'm going Samford. I'm doing it. Kentucky.
I'm going Samford too.
Let's go.
I'll tell you what, 3 months ago, it's little Steve put in a 35-1 future of Kansas to win the championship.
Oh, no.
They had beat Houston 2 days later. I was loving life. I was like, oh, the odds dropped to like 15-1. And guess what happened? Their two best players got hurt. Kevin McCullough is not playing in the NCAA tournament this year. Hunter Dickinson is questionable. And even if he does, I don't think he'll be 100%. These are both guys who are probably going to think about playing basketball at the next level. So there's no sense to push it anyways. And Bill Self just sounds like at this point with this team, it's like, all right, well, like we don't really have our best team. It is wherever we go at this point, they're going to be happy if they make the Sweet 16 is pretty much how we worded it. That's not the usual Kansas Jayhawks mindset. And the biggest red flag I had for Kansas when they were a healthy team before I put that future in was like, I love this team. They have no depth. So now you have a team where their biggest Achilles heel has been no depth and you lose your two best players. I think Dickinson might play. McCullough is already confirmed out, and he's pretty much their top 15 NBA draft pick, best player, top scorer. I can't do it. I can't trust this Kansas team. I'm not cashing out my futures because it's like $2 at this point. The books, though, they're like, Steve's not getting anything for this. So let him ride. But give me Samford, another team. I love Samford, man. Samford's a fun team to watch.
Hell yeah. Well, you might have convinced me. Maybe I'm feeling foolish now for thinking Kansas.
Don't feel foolish. It's a solid pick, but we gotta ride with the 30-3 Samford.
Dunny, I'll make you feel better about picking Kansas. Samford lost by 53 to Purdue earlier.
That's a great point.
Does make me feel better.
South Carolina, Oregon tomorrow at 3 p.m. This is probably 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, I got the Cox here.
Central times.
I got the Cox as well. I think the Cox have been super underrated all year long.
What a story!
Besides really Auburn, they've played everyone well. They just don't know how to play Auburn. Like they got absolutely destroyed by Auburn in both games they played them. But I like South Carolina. I think they've been underrated all year long. This Oregon team, they won the Pac-12. I feel like they do it every year. They're starting to get healthy, but they were kind of inconsistent throughout the year. I know, kind of similar to Baylor, dealing with injuries. And I'm going to eat my words because Oregon always just shows up when it counts. But just for loyalty purposes, South Carolina has been so good to me this year because they've been disrespected on the books all year long.
I was thinking about taking Oregon here, and then I looked at some of South Carolina's matchups, and I saw they beat Kentucky and Tennessee earlier this year.
Oh, yeah. No, they can beat anyone. Tennessee was on the road too, right?
Yep.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, that was an easy one for me, I think.
We're in lockstep.
As long as they don't play Auburn, they're okay.
Yeah, I've liked South Carolina a lot this year, and I really haven't liked Oregon that much this year, so this felt pretty easy. Mm-hmm. If you guys ever thought I was picking the Akron Zips, you got another thing coming. So I'm
I know we haven't talked about this, Jake. I'm so sorry for how that game ended. I'm so sorry for how that game ended.
Maybe I've had now 2 basketball experiences in my life. I had where my favorite team, someone on this floor forgot what the score was and did something incredible.
The J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith,
yeah.
Call it, running it out, not doing anything with the ball, LeBron hand on the head, and then poor Julius Rollins intentionally fouling up one with 7 seconds left and seeing Rob Senderov I've never seen a coach lose his mind like that. And I don't blame him.
I felt so bad, especially being the 8th seed, that Cinderella run.
I know to get and to Akron too. Like if it was OU, I wouldn't have even been as mad. The fact it was Akron, and the guy was like 94% from the field or from free throw. They sent up. Yeah, it was
Akron
tough.
doesn't deserve to be here, Creighton.
Get these clowns out.
Get them out. I don't want to see Akron.
I would have rather them just hit a buzzer beater, like just ran down.
That's what I'm saying too, right?
Shot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was not great. That close. Those are the margins in the smaller one bid conferences. You get something stupid like that, and Kent State is at home, and Akron's in this tournament. But yeah, I will be the biggest Creighton Blue Jays fans tomorrow. That is for sure. Texas, Colorado State. Well,
give me Texas, baby.
Okay.
I
really like State.
No, I really like Texas. Texas, I think, is a very, very talented team that has found different ways to lose games at the end. But shout out to my first ever appearance on Happy Hour Hoops years back when we called Oral Roberts over Ohio State because of Max Abmas. Do you guys know who he plays for? He plays for Texas. Hook 'em, baby. They got so much talent, just kind of underachieved. I love Max Abmas. And, you think I'm not going to one last run with Max Abmas? You think I don't want to take part in that? Give me Texas.
He's having an unreal year this year, too.
Yeah, he is. He's fantastic.
This is everything you just said is how I felt about Texas last year too. I really like their team. They have some returning guys. Some obviously moved on, but yeah, I don't feel as strongly, but certainly in this matchup, it's easy Texas for me.
Yep, I'm with you guys. I'm with you there. So this is our mortal enemy in a bracket. St. Peter's.
I would love to take St. Peter's, but I mean, Tennessee can't lose this matchup, right? Bro?
They can't. Right? Tennessee is so good this year. Dalton Connect is probably the best player in college basketball. I know everyone's going to say Edey, but Dalton Connect's fantastic. He's going to be a lottery pick.
I mean, Connect's just more impressive. I mean, I don't think no one wants to give Edey the love. It's just like, when you watch Connect on a nightly basis, it's like what he's doing is more impressive.
I should backpedal on best player. I'd say best player in college basketball. I'm never going to take away Zach Edey's flowers for college. But he's one of the best college basketball players ever. We've seen it for so long,
and Mark Titus says this, like, he has one move, bro. They dump it down to him. He hooks his left arm and he goes up. It's like. He's great. He's fantastic. You can't teach size, but I'm kind of with you, as and that's a good way to put it. Like pro ready, strides at the next level. Dalton Connect, you can see that.
I really like this Tennessee team, which terrifies me because, Tennessee.
They've been weird lately.
They're not too great when it comes to the NCAA tournament.
I know. And I have such a soft spot for Tennessee sports. It's just random, like NCAA football, like 05. Jake loves Tennessee.
Best fight song in college.
Best fight song, the checkerboard end zones. It all does it for me. And that's what scares me the most is I picked them in March. I've had so many brackets busted by picking the Tennessee Volunteers. All the shit that I give the Purdue Boilermakers. Tennessee deserves too, but I just can't do it to Tennessee. And they're in the same bracket. So
I know they did it intentionally. The way the committee put these brackets in, outside of underseeding the Mountain West and putting Virginia in the tournament, like I laughed at just some of the stuff. I was like, I'm not even mad at it. They knew what they were doing.
The part of my take pod is the most ridiculous thing in the world.
It's
I've
absurd.
never seen anything
absurd, bro. The potential Caleb Love revenge, North Carolina, Arizona Elite Eight. Like they put 3 of the previous Final Four teams in the same region with UConn with 13 conference champions. Come on.
They brought in the NFL script writers for this year.
Without question, Donnie. Without question.
All right, so we got through our preview for the weekend. We're gonna just make our picks the rest of the way through, guys. We're gonna power through this.
Yeah.
UConn, FAU.
Give me UConn.
We gotta go Huskies here. That's so crazy that's gonna be a second round matchup, and this region worked out.
This region's crazy, man.
San Diego State, Auburn. You guys have talked up Auburn. You've convinced me a little bit, but I'm still scared of Auburn in March, so I'm gonna go San Diego State here.
I'm taking Auburn here. I'll let Dunny tie break.
Let's go San Diego State. Let's get spicy.
Okay.
All
He's
right.
getting spicy.
Well, all right. Well, we'll get into it later on. We'll keep going down. BYU, Illinois.
BYU.
When I first picked this bracket, I had Illinois in the Elite Eight, and now I can't do it. So I think I'm going BYU as well.
BYU.
Mm-hmm.
You're on it. Illinois scares me, man, and I want them to do well. It'd be fun for me here to go watch the Illinois game if they were in the Sweet 16 against one of these teams, but not feeling it this year. Drake, Iowa State, in-state rivalry. That's the biggest thing here, guys. Drake in Iowa taking on Iowa State. What do you think?
Give me the 10 seed. Give me Drake, man. Give me Drake. Give me the 10 seed.
Oh, shit.
Iowa State peaked when they killed Houston. And I think the way to beat an Iowa State team that's as defensive as they are is to have a team exactly like Drake that's going to just shoot from wherever they are on the court, no matter who it is.
Gunny, you're on Drake too?
Yep.
All right, I'm there too. That's where I have them in that Sweet 16 spot.
BYU Drake is such a nice Sweet 16.
That'll be such a fun game. North Carolina, Michigan State.
UNC.
I got UNC. Okay. Grand Canyon and Alabama. I picked against Alabama in the first round, so I would pick Grand Canyon in this spot too.
I might take Grand Canyon, bro. Fun fact. No team that is inside the top 10 in KenPom offensive efficiency and outside the top 100 in defense efficiency has made it past the round of 32. Alabama is in both of those. Give me Grand Canyon.
Donnie, were you riding with Alabama? Did we corner you in here?
No. I'm cool with that. Bama's has looked like fraud the last month and a half. So
21-11 as a 4 seed just rubs me the wrong way, man.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah, I agree.
It really does. Baylor, New Mexico. I think we're all in pretty much agreement here, but I'll let you guys go first.
I think the whole country's sleeping on Baylor. They're healthy now. They're playing well. Give me Baylor. And see, you'd say Steve Mountain West bias. There's a Mountain West team I have losing.
I would love to take New Mexico here. I don't think they have the talent, even though they have Eddie House's son.
That's fair. That'll be a great story, and then we'll get all the shots at Eddie House for these two games.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But Baylor, I'm going with Baylor. Dayton and Arizona. Dunny, any A10 love here?
No, I mean Zona. Definitely fraudulent. The way Dayton collapsed in the A10 tournament, and Zona has legit talent. Maybe they did collapse last year. Maybe they've had some weird games this year. I gotta go Zona here though.
I'm going Zona as well. Too much talent for Dayton.
Even though he's at Xavier now,
and size too. Too much size.
Even though he's at Xavier now, this is the Sean Miller Bowl.
Yeah.
True. True. He's not involved in it.
He's not watching from home. He's like, hey, wait, this is my game.
Are we? You think Nebraska can do it? I have a buddy who's a Nebraska alum here who will be locked in if this is the game on Sunday afternoon or something. But I can't.
Nebraska has the offensive firepower, but I'm taking Houston.
Dunny?
Yeah.
All right. Houston. On to the Sweet 16. Can the Dukes get it done against Duke? Duke versus Duke.
Hank's going to win this region. The part of my take for it, I think Hank comes out on top. It's for the content. Give me Duke.
I don't want to send Duke to the Sweet 16, but if this is their path, I think it's going to happen.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It would be a very interesting Duke-Wisconsin matchup too, but
yeah,
it would. Any of those four would be fun.
Yeah,
matchups.
honestly. Texas Tech, Kentucky. Now, I do love this Kentucky team. They are susceptible in some of those KenPom things you were mentioning, Steve. Texas Tech feels like a team that could snip them up here, but I'm picking Kentucky.
So I really like Texas Tech as a team. Kentucky's a nightmare matchup for him. Why? Texas Tech struggles defending 3 at times. Kentucky only wants to shoot the 3, and Texas Tech not great on the glass. Kentucky is just going to spray threes and crash the offensive glass the whole game. Texas Tech to win this would need kind of a perfect shooting game or to win the turnover battle by 10 plus, because I don't see a scenario where Texas Tech gets up or Kentucky doesn't get up more than 10 shots than Texas Tech. So I'm going to go Kentucky here. But I really
it's so
like
crazy
Texas
that
Tech
Reed
team.
Shepherd is shooting 50%.
Oh, my God. absurd.
Dude, their offense, when it's clicking, man, it might be the most fun offense in college basketball.
Yeah, and then Shepard makes Dillingham look bad. Dillingham shooting 45%.
Yeah, right, dude. And Texas Tech not great at defending the three. Nightmare matchup for Texas Tech.
That would lead the NBA, and he's second on his team.
So I guess we have Colorado here. I guess we're all in agreement there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say no. Colorado or Boise.
Who do you got? You're taking them both against Marquette?
Yeah.
I think I would only take Colorado over Marquette, but I think that's who it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm taking the 10 seed to the Sweet 16 regardless. Yes. Also, too, because I took Western Kentucky in my bracket, so it's like I got to take the 10 seed.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
That's fair. So, yeah, that's a good bet. I love this Marquette team if Kolek's back. Marquette's also one of my sweet spot teams that I just always follow along, especially here. But I don't mind this upset, especially if Kolek is not 100%. If he is, I think that Sweet 16 matchup, Kentucky-Marquette, is one of the best games of the tournament. I'm very excited about that. But we'll go with it. We'll ride with Colorado. Purdue, Utah State. Can Purdue make it to the Sweet 16?
I have Utah State. No. I do. I have Utah State. I know it's stupid. I know Purdue's this is probably going to be the year Purdue makes a run. But my thing is Purdue is a completely different team when Edey's on the court and when he's not. And I'm not saying they don't have decent players around him, but their entire offensive dynamic changes. Utah State, a deep team. Utah State wants to play physical. Utah State is a balanced team, and they are not going to be afraid to put multiple bodies on Edey. I love Utah State this year, guys. I really do. It's stupid, but I love Utah State.
Dunny, what do you think?
Oh
no.
He's muted.
Mute monster?
No.
Or just personal mute. Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, there he is.
Oh yeah, he's back.
I got Purdue.
Oh man.
Sorry that mute
I was like, oh, he's drawing this out. I know where Dunny's going. They just rips my heart out.
I don't know, man.
You know what Dunny just did there, Jake? Is he took the Mountain West, he put it in his mouth, spit it out, and then stepped on it.
You know what? I have no ties to Purdue, bro. Go Utah State.
Thank you. No, because I was really about it. I was going with it too. Man. We're not. I am not. If there's one thing I've been consistent with, it's fading Purdue in every bracket I've put together, and I'm not starting this year. So this is a perfect opportunity. It's a perfect chance, Steve. We're riding with your Mountain West and Utah State. Gonzaga, can we get them to the Sweet 16? I don't think Samford gets one over Gonzaga.
Samford, McNeese, and Gonzaga all play kind of similar styles in my mind. And like I said, I'm going to take the team that has the most talent out of that. So give me Zags.
Dunny, no thoughts on Samford?
I have no qualms with that. I have Gonzaga losing in the first round anyway, but I don't think if they do make it here, I don't think they're losing to Samford.
All right. We're good there. South Carolina, Creighton.
I'm so back and forth on this game.
Me too.
My heart says South Carolina because I've watched them a lot. I really like this South Carolina team. Creighton they have games though where they look like a top 5 team in the country, and it's so hard to pick against them. I'm gonna go South Carolina just so I make Jake do the tiebreaker. But this is one of those games where I've changed it 10 times this week already.
Can I tell you guys something about Creighton?
Tell us something about Creighton.
I have them going to the Final Four.
Oh,
spicy, Dunny!
Oh, that makes this even more difficult for me.
Dick, just say what you want, man. Just with that knowledge, just pick whoever you want here.
Yeah, no pressure at all.
They did beat UConn a couple weeks ago. I did pick South Carolina in my bracket, though.
Do it.
So I got to do it. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
I got to stick true to it. Texas and Tennessee.
Oh, don't do this to me.
This game. I love Tennessee.
I love both teams.
I stared at this matchup as if teams. Yeah, I stared at this matchup as if it was the national championship when in my brackets, because this is how it ended up for me every time. I really don't know.
Rick Barnes revenge game. It's a Rick Barnes revenge. Bro, dude. because I like this Tennessee team.
Well, I'll
I love
give you
Dalton
guys
Connect.
this. I have Tennessee in my Final Four.
Ooh, I do in most of my brackets have Tennessee advancing here. It's tough. I just want this matchup to happen. I won't be upset as a fan watching either way it goes. I think the offensive firepower, when it is done right for Tennessee, could be too much for Texas.
I do too. I'm fully ready to have my heart ripped out by Tennessee because I have them going far in my bracket. The only thing I will say, and I said this earlier, if it's a close game and Texas is in it, you think I'm not live betting Max Abmas in Texas to win the game? It's one last ride for, like I said, the Oral Roberts King, where this all started with the Happy Hour Hoops bracket started. Max Abmas, Texas. I think the road ends here, though. Connect versus Abmas, two of my favorite college basketball players. I can't do it. Just take Tennessee. Just make it easy. Make it quick.
We got to do it. We got to do it. Tennessee and South Carolina would be an electric game. We'll get down there. We're in the Elite Eight. UConn, San Diego State. I'm picking the Huskies.
I got to pick UConn. UConn's first 4 games, they have significant home court advantage in terms of location.
It's crazy,
too.
Yeah. Sweet 16.
I would love to see Auburn UConn because I just feel like Auburn's a team that plays up to competition, could give them a war, but damn, UConn's got. It's a tough road in terms of the teams they play, but it's the location. If they were to face San Diego State, favors UConn immensely.
All right, Donnie, you're on UConn there.
Yeah.
Can we just put Drake there? I feel like we have to do it at this point. We gotta just put him in the Elite Eight.
Sure, do it.
I told you I had him there. We just gotta do it.
Put Drake in the Elite Eight.
Let's go.
Put Drake in the Elite Eight.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
BYU is going to have some of like the best offensive performances ever in the tournament. He's going to be like, I tried to fucking tell you.
I love this BYU.
Just like, push Drake.
Just do it.
North Carolina, Grand Canyon, nice run to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, fun run. It ends here, Carolina.
Gotta stay true to Dunny's hat. Let's go
Yep.
with North Carolina. You guys
this game, bro.
You tell me.
I will. I would have this game circled on my calendar. This would be such a fun game to watch. I'm gonna take Arizona because I want to see the Caleb Love versus UNC.
Okay.
Elite Eight matchup.
All right.
That's what
Johnny,
I have.
You agree? All right.
Yep.
I'm with
Everyone
that.
just wants to see that.
That's my Elite Eight matchup, personal as well. There, Houston, Duke.
Houston.
Yeah.
Gogas.
Houston's too good there. Kentucky, Colorado.
I mean,
I'm going Kentucky.
I know you're gonna take Kentucky. I'm just saying I might have Colorado in my own bracket.
Oh,
that's all I'm saying.
Lord. You got a lot riding on tonight, buddy boy. That's
no. If they lose, we're gonna have to figure out the bottom half of this bracket.
Well, to stop that, I'm picking Kentucky. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, that's probably a smart play.
I want Colorado to make it as far as we had them, though, for a lot of reasons, but also to keep Derek White happy, man, because that'd be a cool run for his school.
In Dunny's dream West Coast basketball matchup, Utah State Gonzaga. Or did I say Dunny? I meant Steve. Sorry.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I picked both these teams to lose.
Steve's dream West Coast basketball.
I have Gonzaga in my bracket. I could get crazy and be talked into Utah State, though. I really could. I really like.
Dunny, what do you think? Should we just roll with Utah State for Steve?
Yeah,
I think we should.
Let's keep them going.
I got Gonzaga. I have Gonzaga, but like I said, this is a coin flip game.
I had Zaga losing to McNeese, so let's send on Utah State.
I'm picking Tennessee here against South Carolina. So
yeah, I think if Tennessee gets to the Sweet 16, they at least got over the hump since they haven't been in the Sweet 16. Who knows how long? So yeah, I'll take them here. Plus, it's a conference game. You played South Carolina a couple times already this year. I'll take the more talented team.
Yep.
Donnie, good with that. All right, we're into our Elite Eight. UConn and Drake.
Just saying, you guys want to be different.
If
you guys want to be different. I'm just saying, if you guys want to be different.
Stan Hurley time, baby.
Yeah, UConn. It's probably smart pick.
Got to get him in here. this is where we might have to discuss a little bit here, because the way you've been talking about Arizona, I feel like you guys like the revenge. You like it. I love this UNC team, though. I really do. I know that they're a flawed 1 seed. I know Armando Bacot can be up and down, and it's not, like the best number 1 you want to see on a team. There's just something about this UNC team, especially after the way last year went.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like they're getting there.
RJ Davis is incredible too.
He is.
I can go. This is another coin flip game for me. I can go either way in this. I picked Arizona mainly because I don't want to have all like 1 seeds or a majority 1 seeds in my Final Four this year. Just because the way like the season's gone, the way the conference championship's gone. I know right now we're like, oh, these 1 seeds are good, but
I know
crazy things happen in a single game elimination tournament. So I took Arizona. I think this is the only 1-2 I had, like in the elite, like 1-2 matchup in the Elite Eight. I took Zona. But either way, it's not. I'm not going to lose sleep over either team. I like them both.
Dunny?
I'm taking UNC here, but you guys probably knew that.
You see the hat. I see the hat.
Well, I'm also taking North Carolina.
Okay.
I love this North Carolina team.
At least we don't have a chalky left side. Final Four.
Can we break up the 1 seeds? Kentucky, Houston.
I can't pick Kentucky to beat Houston.
I have Kentucky here.
I really like Houston. I think Houston's the best team in the tournament. I think Houston is my favorite fact about Houston is everyone wants to talk about their defense, right? How good their defenses are and everything. They're stifling. They have really good guard play. Their 3-pointer is the only shaky thing about. But my favorite stat about this Houston team, they have by far, I think it's like 14 or something more, 10-0 runs than the next best team. Just any point in the game, a team goes on a 10-0 run. Houston's by far has the most. They fit every damn metric known to mankind. The only team they can't seem to beat is Iowa State that plays identical style to them. But when you play a different style than the Houston defensive, just grind you out like physical style, Kentucky plays the polar opposite of that. So
I was going to say, yeah, I'm trying to determine if that bodes well for Kentucky or not. I think Houston overall is the better just team in general. I think if there is a team that's going to stun Houston, I think it probably would be with a high-power offense.
See, historically, though, or I guess the Houston teams of the past few years, the way to beat Houston is beat them at their own style. They lose a lot more of those like low grind you out type of games where your defense is not giving Houston clean looks than a Kentucky team giving Houston good looks. Houston's just going to be able to set up their defense, get enforced turnovers. So in that scenario, Donnie, I usually lean Houston against teams that play opposite styles than them. Where other examples like I'm trying to think.
Kentucky doesn't play a lick of defense, so
right.
That's a good point. Jake, you're gonna have to be the deciding factor here. It sounds like.
No, I have Kentucky in my bracket here. I am very scared of Houston, and that's what I'm scared of too. The only reason if Tyler Kolek was healthy, I would have Marquette in the Final Four, and I might even end up doing that on my final bracket to begin with. I might just take the bet. I love this Marquette team. I gotta pick Kentucky, Steve. I can't have 3 number 1s here. We can't do it.
Fair enough. I mean, you could have had a couple number 1s lose earlier, but that's fine.
That's what I'm thinking. Like I could just go back to Arizona, change that, and then pick Houston.
Nah, we're good. We don't
trust Kentucky more.
Yep.
I do. That's who I've had. Since I've looked at it.
I do too.
Yeah, okay. So you're picking Utah State here then? The team you love the most?
No. I want to. Actually in my bracket, which is funny because Dunny has them losing first round. I actually have Gonzaga in the Final Four out of this region.
Okay.
But I'll take it's such a chalky Final Four though. We got a 1, a 3, and a 2. I mean, our history of Triple H brackets has not been good anyways, so might as well just go with it. I'll take
Dunny.
Tennessee.
Yeah. Guys, this is my Final Four. this chalky Final Four.
Oh no,
That's what I'm
Mine's-
with. So we're doubling down.
Mine's
bro.
very close to this. It's Creighton swapped to Tennessee.
I have 0 of these Final Four teams.
0. You don't have UConn?
I don't. I have Auburn. I
Okay.
have Arizona. I have Houston, and I have Gonzaga. Now there's a couple that I might switch. But my thing is I know everyone's taking UConn, and I think UConn's probably the best team in the country. But it's like I just don't want to, so I got to find a spot for them to lose, if that makes sense. So I feel like every bracket I've seen has UConn in the championship, and then on the right side, I don't like the Midwest, and I really do think if you look in the trends the past year, there's always at least one 5 seed or lower that makes a Final Four run. We really have, it's mainly chalky, but there's always that one region or always that one seed, and I think Gonzaga probably has the easiest road to the Elite 8 of any of those higher seeds. I might put Utah State in the Final Four. I don't know. I don't know though.
The reason you did that is why I decided to go chalky, because I feel like it could be a chaotic start, and then we just get to like there's 9 good teams.
Yeah, I could see that
basketball, and that's what it comes down to. So that's what I landed with. We'll see what happens. I don't like chalky Final Fours usually either, and this is just. I've gone through the machinations a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's Marquette. Maybe it's Marquette's a 2 seed. Yeah, I think this is it. The Kentucky-Tennessee games this year, just watching them play each other, just felt like they were 2 of the best teams in the country. Yeah. That was part of it too, just seeing them against each other.
They both both games are great.
Dunny, what's your Final Four before we pick ours, and then we'll finish up with that.
The left side of the bracket's the same, so I have UConn, North Carolina, and then I have Kentucky and Creighton on the other side.
Okay, so we're pretty close.
A very blue Final Four.
Yeah, that is a very blue Final Four. Well, what do we want? What do we want out of this then? What are we thinking here, guys?
I think Kentucky beats Tennessee.
Me too.
Okay. I do too.
And then I have UConn over. I think UConn's just once it gets to this point, I think UConn's a much better team.
I mean, yeah, I think UConn's the best team in the country. It's just like I said, I feel like everyone's picking them.
Yeah.
I don't hate a Carolina-Kentucky final. I don't hate either of the final. I'll let you decide, Jake. I'm just going to say Carolina, so then you're forced to tie break.
Well, so I could go 2 ways. I could just double down on my own bracket and pick what I have, or I could mix it up here and change it up. I'm just going to double down. I have North Carolina in the championship against Kentucky.
Okay.
That's my championship. So that's our championship.
I
do think UConn is the best team in the country.
Yeah, I do too.
If it comes down to a North Carolina.
No, second best team. Houston's the best team in my mind.
But what do you guys think here? North
Carolina. Carolina. I this is the one thing I will say. Kentucky would have to play 6 near perfect offensive games to win the championship because A, they have a tough road, and B, their defense has been putrid all year long. And I just don't think it's sustainable winning 95 to 96 times in a row in a March Madness tournament. Give me Carolina. I don't have Kentucky this far. I get it because of the talent they have. But like I said, that defense scares me because I think it's one of the worst defenses of any of the top teams in the country. I'll take Carolina. I don't hate it. I like this Carolina team a lot. I really do. The ACC is bad, though. The ACC is bad. And that's kind of a big red flag for me. Coming from a bad conference. You're just playing bad teams.
Bad bracket is what it sounds like.
I don't. I mean, I'll take Carolina over Kentucky, though. I can't pick. I can't just pick Kentucky with their defense.
Imagine I was wearing this hat and took Kentucky.
Imagine. So, Dunny, do you have Carolina winning it all, or no?
No, I have UConn in mine, actually.
You have UConn. He's got the hat on that.
This is my exact.
I wasn't wearing it earlier.
This is my exact Final Four and championship and winner. That's how this ended up.
That's kind of crazy.
It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's wild.
I don't know how we ended up that way, but I
think Jake was picking all the tiebreakers. That's why we talked too early. We talked too early and let him pick all the tiebreakers. That's how we ended up here.
Listen, I don't know how it happens. I don't really want this to be the case because now I'm really putting my money where my mouth is with North Carolina and Kentucky. This Marquette really trips me up there. I really think Texas Tech could beat Kentucky in that game.
I just think it's such a bad matchup for Texas
I'm pretty
Tech.
sure
That's
it
why
is.
I think I had Marquette in the Elite Eight.
I could see that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It just feels this could be this. It does feel more like Steve, you were saying earlier, that it's going to be like last year where it was just extremely chaotic because none of these teams are great. But if there are if there is a division among like the great teams, I feel like these four are in them, and that's how I ended up here.
Yeah, the only one for me is just Kentucky's inconsistency scares me a little bit. That's the only one where I'm like, they really have to play perfect games. But yeah, I don't think you can make a top 10 teams talent-wise in the tournament and not include UConn, North Carolina, or Tennessee.
There it is.
There it is. Tar Heels. Different. I'll take it. You know what?
Yeah.
I didn't want UConn out of this. That was what I was hoping.
Picking the number 1 overall seed, that's no fun.
And I don't want a UConn Houston final. As fun as it would be, I just would be disappointed if this whole crazy basketball year came to that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So there it is. We have our national championship in the Happy Hour Hoops March Madness bracket. Thank you guys for listening, watching, all of the above. Don't forget to go download the WinStreakz app, guys. They're our proud sponsor. The WinStreakz app is amazing. You pick 5 games a day, pick 5 teams to be your winners a day, accumulate points based off those winners, and win cash prizes. Up to $2,000 in cash prizes is possible every week with the WinStreakz app. Don't forget to use our code HHH in the referral code section when you download the app. Download the WinStreakz app. Follow at Happy Hour Hoops on all socials. Follow Trainwreck Sports on all socials. You guys know the deal. And thank you for listening to the Happy Hour Hoop bracket selection.
Hell yeah, boys. Let's hope one of these teams doesn't lose in the first round. Tennessee, I'm looking right at you, bro. If St. Peter's does this again to us.
Bro. Here's Steve. Here's Steve at let's say Thursday.
Have a good night, folks.
Later, guys.